Welcome back. Thom Hartmann here with you, the founder of the Daily Poster, dailyposter.com. David Sirota, also magazine editor at Jacobin and the Guardian, a columnist with the Guardian, and in fact, for many years, one of my colleagues as a talk radio host, and is with us. Dailyposter.com, as I mentioned. You can tweet him at David Sirota. David, welcome back to the program. It's been a while since we've talked, and I appreciate you dropping by. I subscribe to your newsletter over at dailyposter.com, and this rant you went off on about the resurrection of Reagan's welfare queen just popped my eyeballs. Tell us about it.
Yeah, I mean, look, and thanks for having me on, Tom. I mean, the resurrection of the rhetoric that suggests that jobless people who are getting unemployment benefits, expanded unemployment benefits, that these are people who are lazy, these are people who are turning down work, these are people who are hurting the economy by supposedly not coming back to work to jobs that they're being offered. This has been resurrected, and it's being portrayed as something new, but of course, as you allude to, it's some of the oldest rhetoric that we've seen in the book. I mean, this was the premise of Ronald Reagan's campaign in 1976 and in 1980, where he was berating supposedly overly generous government benefits. And the Republicans have now resurrected this rhetoric, and there's an agenda behind it, just like there was under Ronald Reagan. We've heard this line that, people aren't coming back to work because the unemployment benefits are too good. And what that's really designed to do is to try to get people back into jobs at low pay. In other words, the donors to the Republican Party don't want to allow the labor market to work in a way that employers have to raise wages to attract workers. So when people are hearing the notion that jobless people are not coming back to work and there's a supposed labor shortage, what's really being said is that the Republicans don't want to have their donors have to pay workers better to attract them back to work.
So it's essentially the new welfare queens are the people who are on unemployment. The new god-awful government, let's hold them in bondage forever. This is the Republican theory, right? Group are the people who are trying to help people through the pandemic. David, we had Pramila Jayapal, Representative Jayapal, on the program just a little earlier, and she pointed out that the science is pretty much in, the political science, as it were, and the economic science, that the reason people are not that there seems to be a shortage of workers right now, the principal reason that there seems to be a shortage of workers right now, is that women aren't coming back into the workplace because their kids are not going to school or daycare, because we still, only a third of America is fully vaccinated. We still have a crisis going on here, CDC guidelines notwithstanding. How do you see, I realize this has really seized control of the Republican Party. We've got, we have multiple states now where governors have said, okay, we're just going to end the unemployment benefits because the states ultimately have final say on these things, even though they're federal benefits flowing through. How do you see this shaking out within the Democratic Party? You're a keen observer of this. You were a speechwriter for Bernie Sanders. You've been around the block a few times here in this world. And what can we do to support Democrats who want to make sure that we still have an intact social safety net?
Well, it's a really great question, and Pramila Jayapal is absolutely right. I mean, Census Bureau data tells us that the primary reason, or at least one of the huge reasons, that people are not coming back to work is because of the pandemic and they have kids at home. We also have, by the way, it's worth adding, that 43% of small businesses have admitted in a recent survey that people aren't coming back to work, or they're having trouble finding workers because of people's need for childcare and because people are searching for better paying jobs. I mean, let's take a moment to realize that when the Chamber of Commerce, or when Republicans say an additional $300 a week is why people are not coming back to work because they're seeking better pay, they're basically admitting how terrible the pay is and how terrible the wages have been in America for decades. Now, your question about Democrats is a great one. So far, Joe Biden and the Democrats in Congress have been pretty good. I mean, the stimulus bill that extended unemployment on that score was a good bill and good spending. The thing that to watch, though, is that you saw last week, you saw Biden say that he's going to help states toughen up the work search requirements for unemployment benefits, which is, Joe Biden, and look, Joe Biden back in the Reagan era, let's be clear, Joe Biden was echoing a lot of that welfare queen rhetoric, that really grotesque rhetoric.
A lot of Democrats were,
A lot of Democrats were. And look, he's not saying what the Republicans are saying, so he's better than them. But the thing to be concerned with is if he's trying to appease the Republicans with that rhetoric and surrender that argument, that's a bad sign. So I think people should be contacting their members of Congress, telling them not to give up on those benefits and not to accept the premise that Republicans are putting forward.
Amen. Amen. David Sirota. And one of the best things on the web that you can check out is dailyposter.com. Check out David's publication. David, thank you.